Moloch, the child devourer. Consider yourself lucky you were born after the Roman Republic, because deformed demon children like you, dear brother, would have been eagerly stuffed down Moloch's fat gullet. A quote from Asmodeus to his little brother Dean in To Be Weak or Miserable. Okay, where to begin on a creature that we really actually ask, where did it actually come from? Of course, my own inspiration for Moloch as a fallen angel comes from Milton's Paradise Lost, where he lists him amongst the fallen, and well, the idea of a child-devouring beast sacrificed to is fascinating as it reminds me of the stories about the Carthaginians that debatable recent stuff might have proven could be true. Funnily enough, I'm not the only one to make that kind of similarity with the creature. But where is Moloch in biblical or religious texts? Well, he doesn't appear as a fallen or really a demon at all, but as a god. He is predominantly mentioned as a god of the Canaanites in 2 Kings, where he was demonized with a description of children being sacrificed to him in fire. The description of the process often given is the victim being placed into a bronze oven shaped like a hungry mouth. It's not really too clear if the victim is alive or dead when they go to be cooked in some interpretations, and it is not always children described as being devoured. Some of the name variants have also been likened to root words meaning king, or generic meanings like sacrifice, with the idea it could just refer to any deity demanding human sacrifice, the former meaning often being ascribed to the name of the god of the Ammonites. But characteristics in rabbinical texts, with some referring to the idol as a brass figure with beckoning arms, aided later scholars in the linking of Moloch to Baal, who turns up in the Bible as a rival deity quite a bit. Mixing this with the words regarding child sacrifice in Carthage, sacrifices being made to Baal Hamon no less, Carthage stemming from Phoenicians after all, it's quite possible it could have been a similar kind of worship and true to an extent. However, this idea of human sacrifice fueled Moloch into being categorized with demons in demonology and termed in the Grand Grimoire by Waite as Prince of the Land of Tears. This positioning and just how heinous sacrifices to writers have meant Moloch is categorized as very powerful, even being described as a possible member of Beelzebub's Knightly Order of the Fly, the Lord of the Flies being the demon of gluttony amongst the sins. Though Moloch's name has also been translated to Melcom or Milcom in 1 Kings, he has also been called Milcom, who is listed as a Duke of Hell commanding thousands of lesser spirits, the paymaster of the royal household, servant of the northern king Baruchas, and as with many listed in Ars Ferrugia, he can only be summoned at a specific time of day. Sorry if I pronounced any of those wrong. Purely for being a false god compared to that of the Old Testament, and to be linked to child or any kind of sacrifice are the reasons the word Moloch can often just be used for demons. Hence it's another name for the thorny devil in Australia, and there's a dinosaur bearing part of the name too. Of course, sacrifice aside, it's interesting how it is a possible link to Baal, a rival deity during this time period, who seems to be the ultimate false god, yet, well, another day we'll talk about Baal. Where does this leave Moloch in my Beyond the Veil universe? Well, mostly he's just a background character mentioned from time to time as a reference to one of the few members of the Fallen Army that was not appreciated by the others, and in some kind of punishment from Lucifer himself. So, here's his little profile for you. Name is Moloch. His position is evil. Stories featured in. Well, he mainly gets mentions, and the main one is My Dearest Loaf. Role in that story? Well, he's Rowan's father. Gender, he chose to be male, hence I refer to him as male. Description. Though once could change forms, now relegated to something akin to a giant toad with horns and ears and a beckoning maw filled with teeth. Within his great globular mass scream all the souls of children born to him and to others that he was able to devour, whose faces peer through, but though they scream, it is a scream of madness, as they're all part of him now. Realm, hell. Abilities. He was able to encourage the gluttony brought on through cannibalism and the sacrifice of other humans, going against sacred rules to insult the Almighty, but because he would not stop devouring even his own offspring, Lucifer banished him into the endless depths. Master, Lucifer, though once a member of Beelzebub's order, though, of course, in the service of Lucifer. Personality. Hungry, belligerent, hateful of youth, though desperate to always be around newborn babies, just because they have no sense of anything but the sudden joy of the light, and this makes them more delicious. He's a complete liar, tricks everyone to feed him in some way, and manipulates his female cohorts with pity to brood with him so he can eat his offspring. He has no shame and no qualms about devouring anything. Relations. Rowan. Only child not to have been absorbed by him, Moloch has real disgruntled thoughts towards Rowan, and is even more furious when Rowan pairs with a fallen angel. He desires to devour Rowan one day, and ensure no one ever escapes him. There is no familial love here. Beelzebub, Moloch's brother angel. They were rare in being from the same fort, and they have a decent relationship as brothers. But Beelzebub is older and more powerful, and dwells in the air where Moloch dwells in the earth, and they constantly torment each other for their opposite cruel natures. Lucifer. Moloch obeyed Lucifer totally, even becoming enamoured of the being, but when his devouring became too great and Lucifer lost their temper, they lost their friendship with one another, though he is forever Lucifer's servant. History. Born from the same fort as Beelzebub, Moloch's body was always large and flying was always more tiring, yet he followed his brother everywhere. They had their jobs with the beasts of the earth, with Moloch in charge of the mothers that devoured their weak young, or their umbilical cords. It was a simple but messy task, and with himself always crouching down, his brother often remarked he might as well be a toad. Always the brothers had a string of jealousy, and yet Moloch began to encourage more reasons for mothers to harm their young, hurting their minds, making them panic, or removing their desire to mother. It was something that the other angels were not keen on, and beckoned him to stop doing. But then everything changed. When Lucifer taught them about gender, Moloch watched his brother turn male and did the same, hurrying to the females to pair with whomever would take him, only to find them laughing that he was ugly and foul. Like some of the other males that found that he was not able to get what he wanted because there were less females, Moloch joined in the rape of his female companions. But when Lucifer came upon them all, Lucifer broke them apart and insisted they could have all they wanted if they took down the Almighty. Moloch was enamoured by Lucifer's androgynous looks and ability to charm, let alone their power, and was quick to follow after his brother and insist he would fight. Using his brute strength and his cruel nature that had been developing for so long, Moloch pulled at the wings of his angelic brethren, and thankfully all broken wings in this battle were healed. But then Moloch came into view of Gabriel. He hurried to attack Gabriel and take this Archangel for Lucifer to brutalize, but sadly for Moloch, Remiel slammed thunder into him and Moloch's wings were shattered. Then Michael got the upper hand and the army was defeated and they all fell. In hell, Moloch was content to be upon the ground, and when Lucifer's resolve was not completely lost, they were all eager to take the chance to get at humanity. Moloch began to convince the daughters of Eve to hurt their babies, to feed them to him, and began the various cults where the weak were left exposed or fed into his fiery gullet. Moloch tricked the humans into worshipping him as a god, and revelled in a cruelty and gluttony that no other demon could claim. However, when it became clear that Moloch's cults were dying on earth, Lucifer insisted he stop, and Moloch was furious. He did not know that the Almighty had now decided that for any pain to a human child caused by a demonic being, Lucifer would be wounded. Moloch became more ravenous and even aided in the creation of a disease to hurt children alone. But that was when Lucifer lost their cool. When Moloch refused to give up their hunger, Lucifer ripped off his legs and slammed him so hard into the pit of hell that Moloch was buried in the deepest darkness, where only fire would burst around him and give him a brief glimpse of anything. Even so, Moloch's cult still continued, though they dwindled down at last, and where he could not have human children, he turned to his female demon companions. He whimpered and whined to make them pity that he had upset their master, and when the other female demons would approach him, he would trick them into partnering with him. They would birth young, and he would devour them no matter where they were, and this was his lot in life, until one child was born in the Vale. Moloch had it in his mouth, but the world ripped Rowan right out, and since then, Moloch had kept his partners captive to ensure he could devour his children. Rowan is the only one still unattached to his hideous bloated form. Final comments. Moloch is a nasty character and a wonderful way to show off the horrible nature of the fallen angels, and he's just pretty gross. Thank you for listening.